This is my 5-year New York anniversary, so I figured I'd come on to share 5 things that you should know before you move to New York, especially for my girlies in their 30s. I have my notes here, so let's get into it. First things first, let's just get out the way. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Just do it. And I wanted to get this out the way because usually people will be like, save this one for last. I'm like, oh my gosh, just do it. The whole hurrah thing. I'm gonna tell you right now, just do it. It is one of the most interesting opportunities to learn about yourself, learn about just being a kind of a small fish in a big pond, living that life and everything. It's even if it's not something that is for a long time, just having this experience, living in the city, doing what you care about. Like if there's something that you actually really want to pursue, or if it's career-based, personal, whatever it might be. There's just so many opportunities in the city. There's so many people in the city. There's like, you can get down the networking hole, like you can go that way, or you can not. You can just like live your life, whatever. But there's just so many things and opportunities here. So if you have the opportunity and you want to do it, plan, of course, but most importantly, do it. All right, now let's get into the nitty gritty of it all, because we got some things to talk about. Number 2, location. Location is key, especially when we're talking about where you want to live. Living in New York really means like a lot of things. If you want to be in the city meaning Manhattan, you're going to get noise. You're going to get a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of commotion depending on the areas you're in, especially like the high, like the areas that really are extremely bussin' and poppin'. Like if you want to go to LES, if you want to live in East Village, the West Village especially, it's just a lot of commotion, a lot of people, and there's just extremely small spaces and extremely high rents. Crazy. You living with a roommate over there. Like unless you got the money. If you got the money, hey. But if not, you living with a roommate, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So, and you don't get that much space. And they're usually like older kind of apartments too. So the number one thing I would do, and what I did, was go to different locations and see what the vibe was like. And I tried to go during the day and at night to kind of see what both was like. But I knew initially, like, I was never going to live in a city. Like, I'm not a city person like that. I needed something that would give me a little bit more space and all the things that I needed. I wanted a washer dryer and all these different things. And I wanted access to the trains. I wanted to be able to hop on a train and go to Brooklyn easy, go to the city easy, wherever I want to go. I want to be able to do that. So Long Island City was the perfect spot for me. And I'm here to this day, 5 years later. Location is key. And I think the other piece for me is living in Long Island City. It's a lot quieter. It actually kind of reminds me of being home a little bit in Connecticut, where it's not crazy. Like I'm not hearing sirens all the time, and like it's just not as loud and crazy. So it kind of gives a little bit of that suburb type vibe if you were looking for that. And then I can go to the crazy. So I can come home to the quiet and the peace. And then I can go to the crazy. I can go to Brooklyn. I can go to all these different places. But when I come home, there's peace, in my opinion. So that is another reason why I pick LIC versus any other place, especially Brooklyn. I get the question, why don't you move to Brooklyn? Why aren't you in Brooklyn? Different parts of Brooklyn, they have those things, but like I might be missing on the amenities. I might be missing the washer dryer unit. I might be missing like a lot of different things, unless I'm willing to pay the price, and I ain't willing to pay the price. So, or like not have the convenience of having an easy train. Like I'm usually a one train girl. Don't come for me in the comments. That's what I prefer. That's what I prefer. Okay, so moving on to number 3, this kind of ties into location. It's about apartments. It's expensive to live here, period. I don't care if you have like 3-4 roommates, it's expensive to live here. Not only are you thinking about the other things that come with living in the city, like going out, doing all that stuff, eating out, like meeting with friends, all those different things. Where you live and how much you pay will dictate how much you can actually do. And that is something that you think about, but you don't really think about. And especially if you have apartments that are not rent stabilized. If you don't have a rent stabilized apartment, your apartment can go up by like $1,000, like something crazy. Whatever they want to charge, that thing can go up, that lease. So you may have to constantly be looking for a spot, which to me, that was one thing that I was like, I don't want to have to do that. I want to have like ease of mind knowing that if my rent goes up, which it will do because the rent usually goes up every year, it's not by a lot. So I was lucky enough to get a rent stabilized apartment. So that's that's why I've been in this apartment for so long, because the more that I look at other apartments, because my lease will be up, honey, and I'll be like, oh, I'm ready to move, I need a 1-bedroom, da 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 da, and then I go and look at these prices. These prices. I'm like, I can't move. I cannot move until I'm ready to buy, honey. And that's my plan now. I'm not leaving this little studio until I'm ready to buy my next like apartment or buy my first condo, like whatever. That is where I will be from here. I'm not gonna move to another apartment paying crazy amount of money to live in the outskirts of the city. I'm just not going to do that. So I would recommend, if you can, find rent stabilized apartments. I know it's getting harder to find now, but I feel like, especially in this market, things might get a little crazy. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you may have an opportunity to do that. Get yourself a rent stabilized apartment if you can. It can only go up by a certain percentage. I feel like it's 3 to 4% now, but it makes a difference. You know, my rent goes up by $50-something, and I'm like, dang, that's annoying. But someone's rent can go up by like $500, $1,000. I think I'll sit my butt down. I think I'll be comfortable right here. So if you can, go rent stabilized. Number 4. Now, like I said, I never thought I would be here for 5 years. I thought, and this is my, early 30s, moving into the city, the big city. I'm like, oh, in 2 years, 1 or 2 years, definitely 2 years, I'll be, I'll have a boyfriend, we'll be moving in together, like we'll get a house, whatever, I'll get married. So I don't need to like worry about, making my apartment a home. I'm just gonna be living here as temporary, whatever. Dating in New York City. Child, Lord, dating in New York. I'm gonna take out the city, New York. Wow. With the amount of people in this city, you would think ain't nobody here. You would think nobody here, because this struggle of dating in the city is real. And I realized after, being here for 5 years, I'm like, I've been living in a temporary home. And I cannot do that. So I am transforming my apartment a little bit to kind of make it more of my style and what I would want my home to kind of feel and be like, because I realized I cannot wait on people, and I cannot wait for this dream, or this, it's not a dream or fantasy, but this like expectation that I had of, oh, I would be married by now, so I have to wait. I'm not going to wait for my husband. I'm going to have my funds. And that's something that I'm like figuring out now, because if I have to move, or when I want to move and buy my first home, ideally I would have 2 forms of income. So what I'm doing now as an account executive in sales, making my money in the corporate world, as well as making my money here, just being on YouTube and other social platforms, sharing different things. I know that's going to be important for me, because I may not have a partner to split things with. So having dual income is going to be important. And just thinking about like what it's like being in the city and dating in the city, I'm 99.9% sure I'm gonna be doing this alone, honey, because it's just, there ain't nobody here. Well, let me take that back. It's not that there's nobody here. It's just, there's so many options for people, especially men. There's so many women that they can literally pick the cream of the crop. And there's some bad girls, like girls that I'm like, yo, you too? You too? Girl, like in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, you too. It's a struggle. So moral to the story is, dating is really hard in New York. Do not wait to, prioritize yourself and make things like your home, especially in the apartment that you're in, and just go forward, because you cannot be putting timelines on when those types of things may happen, because it's a struggle, not just for like, black women. I see it across the board. We all in trouble. I think we need a group at this point, like a ladies group, like, hey, let's go meet, whatever, because the guys out here, it'd be a struggle. I heard they complain about us too, but I don't know why, because there's so many bad girls doing bad things out here, like killing it. But let's move on. Number 5, the last one, and I think this all kind of ties in, especially to the last thing I said. You're gonna have to learn, especially in your 30s, I would say. I think in your 20s, you can probably get around this. This may not be relevant for you, because in my 20s, I was outside. Like, you may think of my Instagram and my TikToks, you think I'm outside. When I was in my 20s, I was outside, okay? And now I'm not that really outside. I'm like, I do let it, I pop in and out. I pop in and out from time to time. But something that I've learned, especially last year, definitely when I was 35, I'm 36 now. Whoa. But so many things happen. My friends kind of move further away, and they have obviously their own lives, and they're dating people, or they're just kind of like out doing their thing. So it's so important to prioritize your time. And what I mean by that is you need to enjoy your company. You need to be able to go out by yourself into this big, scary city and do your thing. And even if that means you going and doing something yourself, alone, whatever it might be, just go ahead and do it, because especially in your 30s, I realize that, everyone is living life at a different speed now. And me and myself included, like even when I can go out with friends and stuff, sometimes I just want to be home. Sometimes I just want to sit home. I want to have me a glass of wine, and I want to figure out my content, or I want to just, figure out what my apartment is going to look like, or do something else. I don't want to be out. I don't want to sometimes, especially if it's not summer. Like if it's summer, maybe, but like in the cold, child. But anyways, it is just so important to value that time. And I think sometimes we get so scared to like, oh, I'm just going to wait for somebody to do it. Don't do it. Just go ahead and do it yourself, depending on what it is. And you can ease into it. Like, I'm still not at a point where I can go to a party by myself. Like, I don't feel comfortable yet doing that. But I can go to lunch and do a little lunch date. I can go to like an early dinner and do a little early dinner date with myself. I can go out and just go explore the city for a bit. Like, I can do those solo and feel comfortable at this point. Before it was like something I had to kind of work up to, because I would always just kind of have somebody to do something with, and it's just not the same all the time. So you just have to kind of ease yourself into it. But most importantly, just know, especially in your 30s, I would say, you're gonna have to value and enjoy your company, because sometimes it might just be you for a moment, and that's okay. And if anything, I will be giggling to myself in my head, like, I will have conversations sometimes in my head about what's going on that I'm seeing, or I'm like busy doing whatever I'm doing on my phone. But either way, I'm out and about doing what I want to do, and I'm enjoying the city that's huge and with so many different things to explore. Don't let that limit yourself, just in case you don't have someone to do something with. All right. Well, there's so many more like things that I could have talked about, but I felt like these were like the 5 things that I'm like top of mind. I wish I really would have known those things, especially the dating one. Child, the dating. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Definitely let me know what are some things that you kind of realized being in the city, living, especially if you've lived here all your life. That's a really interesting one. Like, what's the difference? Because I know there was a clear difference, including gentrification, which that's a whole other topic. But that's a whole other topic. But let me know in the comments what you thought. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 followers. So you're going to want to enjoy this fam. We call ourselves the bougie fam over here. So, we bougie, we having a good time, but bougie, a little bit of it, a little sauce, a little spice, a little bougie spice on the top, Anyways. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.